Have you ever felt like your children don't respect you the way they used to? Maybe they dismiss your opinions, don't include you in important decisions, or even seem to forget the value of your experience and wisdom. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many of us, as we get older, find ourselves struggling with this painful reality. It's not easy to feel overlooked or undervalued, especially by the people who mean the most to us. But here's the good news. You don't have to accept this as your new normal. There are powerful, practical ways to regain the respect you deserve. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. In this video, we'll explore 6 proven strategies to help you rebuild respect in your relationships with your children. These aren't quick fixes or manipulative tactics. They're thoughtful, actionable steps that can help you strengthen your connections and reclaim your sense of worth. Whether your children are adults with families of their own or still finding their way in the world, these tips can make a real difference. So let's dive in and start with the first step. The first thing you need to do is set clear boundaries. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Boundaries with my own kids, but hear me out. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away or being rigid. They're about creating a healthy space where mutual respect can grow. Think about it. When you allow others to overstep or dismiss you, even unintentionally, it sends a message that your needs and feelings don't matter. And over time, that can erode respect. So how do you set boundaries? Start by identifying what's important to you. Maybe it's having your opinions heard during family discussions or not being interrupted when you're speaking. Once you've identified those areas, communicate them calmly and clearly. For example, if your child tends to make decisions without consulting you, you might say something like, "I really appreciate your independence, but it's important to me to be included in these conversations. My experience might offer a helpful perspective." This isn't about demanding respect. It's about showing your children that you value yourself enough to ask for it. Now let's talk about the second strategy, leading by example. Respect is often a two-way street. And one of the most powerful ways to earn it is by modeling the behavior you want to see. Think about the qualities you value in others: kindness, patience, honesty, and make sure you're embodying those traits in your own actions. When your children see you treating others with respect, including them, they're more likely to mirror that behavior. But leading by example goes beyond just how you treat people. It's also about how you treat yourself. Do you speak kindly about yourself, or do you downplay your achievements? Do you take care of your physical and emotional well-being, or do you neglect your own needs? When you show your children that you respect yourself, it sets a powerful example for how they should treat you. Remember, you're not just their parent, you're a role model, and your actions speak louder than words. Now, before we move on to the next point, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered so far. Setting boundaries and leading by example are 2 foundational steps to rebuilding respect in your relationships. They're not about changing your children. They're about empowering yourself to create healthier, more respectful dynamics. And the best part? These strategies don't just improve your relationships with your kids. They also help you feel more confident and valued in your own life. So now that we've laid the groundwork, let's explore the next steps. In the next part of this video, we'll dive into 2 more powerful strategies: how to communicate effectively and why it's important to focus on your own growth and independence. These steps will help you take your relationships to the next level, so stay tuned. But for now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried setting boundaries or leading by example in your own life? How did it go? Share your experiences in the comments below. I can't wait to hear from you. Now that we've talked about setting boundaries and leading by example, let's move on to the next strategy: effective communication. This is such a crucial part of any relationship, but it's especially important when you're trying to rebuild respect. The truth is, misunderstandings and miscommunications can often lead to feelings of frustration and resentment on both sides. But when you learn to communicate clearly and compassionately, you can bridge those gaps and create a stronger connection with your children. So, what does effective communication look like? First, it's about listening, really listening to what your children have to say. Sometimes when we feel disrespected, our instinct is to defend ourselves or shut down. But taking the time to listen shows your children that you value their perspective and it sets the stage for a more open and respectful dialogue. When they're speaking, try to focus on their words without interrupting or planning your response. You might be surprised at how much this simple act can shift the dynamic. Of course, communication isn't just about listening. It's also about expressing yourself in a way that's clear and constructive. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," which can come across as accusatory, try framing your thoughts in a way that focuses on your feelings. For example, you might say, "I feel hurt when my opinions aren't considered in family decisions." This approach is less likely to put your children on the defensive and more likely to encourage a productive conversation. Another key aspect of effective communication is timing. Let's face it, not every moment is the right moment to address a sensitive issue. If your child is stressed, distracted, or in the middle of something important, they're less likely to be receptive. Instead, choose a time when you're both calm and relaxed and let them know you'd like to talk. You might say something like, "There's something on my mind that I'd like to share with you. When would be a good time for us to sit down and chat?" This shows that you respect their time and are approaching the conversation with care. Now let's move on to the fourth strategy, focusing on your own growth and independence. This one might seem a little counterintuitive at first. After all, we're talking about rebuilding respect in your relationships, right? But here's the thing. When you invest in your own personal growth and maintain your independence, it sends a powerful message to your children. It shows them that you're not just their parent, you're a vibrant, capable individual with your own interests, goals, and passions. So what does this look like in practice? It could mean pursuing a new hobby, taking a class, or even volunteering in your community. It could also mean setting personal goals for your health, finances, or relationships. The key is to focus on activities that bring you joy and fulfillment and that remind you of your own worth. When your children see you thriving and living life on your own terms, it naturally fosters a deeper respect for you. But focusing on your own growth isn't just about impressing your kids. It's also about building your confidence and sense of self. When you feel good about who you are and what you're doing, it's easier to navigate challenges in your relationships. You're less likely to rely on your children for validation and more likely to approach conflicts with a sense of calm and clarity. And that, in turn, can help create a healthier, more balanced dynamic. Now, before we move on to the final strategies, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered so far. We've talked about the importance of setting boundaries, leading by example, communicating effectively, and focusing on your own growth. These steps are all about empowering yourself to create the kind of relationships you deserve. Relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. In the next part of this video, we'll explore the final two strategies, how to let go of the need for control, and why forgiveness is such a powerful tool for rebuilding respect. These steps will help you take your relationships to the next level, so stay tuned. But for now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried any of these strategies in your own life? How did they work for you? Share your experiences in the comments below. I can't wait to hear from you. Now that we've covered setting boundaries, leading by example, effective communication, and focusing on your own growth, let's dive into the final two strategies for rebuilding respect with your children. These steps are just as important as the ones we've already discussed, and they'll help you bring everything together in a way that feels natural and empowering. The fifth strategy is letting go of the need for control. This one can be tough, especially if you've spent years guiding your children and making decisions for them. But as they grow into adults, it's important to recognize that they need the space to make their own choices, even if those choices aren't the ones you would make. When you try to control their decisions or micromanage their lives, it can create tension and resentment, which can erode respect over time. So how do you let go of control? Start by reminding yourself that your children's choices are a reflection of their own values and experiences, not yours. It's okay to offer advice when they ask for it, but try to resist the urge to step in and fix things. Instead, focus on being a supportive presence in their lives. For example, if your child is making a decision you don't agree with, you might say something like, "I trust you to make the best choice for yourself. If you need my input, I'm here for you." This approach shows that you respect their autonomy, and it encourages them to respect your role as a trusted advisor rather than a controlling figure. Letting go of control also means accepting that your relationship with your children will evolve over time. They may not need you in the same way they did when they were younger, and that's okay. Instead of clinging to the past, try to embrace the new dynamics of your relationship. Celebrate the ways they've grown and the unique bond you share as adults. When you let go of the need to control, you create space for a deeper, more respectful connection to flourish. Now let's talk about the sixth and final strategy, the power of forgiveness. This one might be the most challenging of all, but it's also the most transformative. When you feel disrespected by your children, it's easy to hold on to hurt and anger. But holding on to those negative emotions only weighs you down and keeps you stuck in a cycle of resentment. Forgiveness, on the other hand, allows you to release that burden and move forward with a lighter heart. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing disrespectful behavior or pretending that everything is fine. It simply means choosing to let go of the pain and choosing to focus on healing and growth instead. It's about freeing yourself from the past so you can create a brighter future. And here's the beautiful thing about forgiveness. It's not just a gift you give to your children, it's a gift you give to yourself. So how do you practice forgiveness? Start by acknowledging your feelings and allowing yourself to process them. It's okay to feel hurt or angry, but try not to dwell on those emotions. Instead, focus on what you can learn from the situation and how you can grow from it. You might also consider having an honest conversation with your child about how their actions affected you. This isn't about blaming or shaming. It's about sharing your perspective and opening the door to understanding and reconciliation. Remember, forgiveness is a process, not a one-time event. It might take time to fully let go of the hurt, and that's okay. Be patient with yourself and celebrate the small steps along the way. When you choose forgiveness, you're choosing to prioritize your peace and happiness, and that's a powerful act of self-respect. Now that we've explored all 6 strategies, let's take a moment to recap what we've covered. We started with setting boundaries and leading by example, which are foundational steps for creating healthier dynamics in your relationships. Then we talked about the importance of effective communication and focusing on your own growth, which help you build confidence and foster mutual respect. Finally, we discussed letting go of control and practicing forgiveness, 2 powerful tools for releasing negativity and creating space for deeper connections. These strategies aren't just about changing your children. They're about empowering yourself to create the kind of relationships you deserve. And the best part? They don't just improve your relationships with your kids. They also help you feel more confident, fulfilled, and at peace in your own life. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. Rebuilding respect is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, patience, and effort. But every step you take is a step toward a happier, healthier, and more fulfilling life. You have so much wisdom, love, and strength to offer, and you deserve to be treated with the respect and care that reflects that. If you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, experiences, or questions in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'm always here to support you. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more tips and inspiration on living your best life at any age. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you are worthy of respect, love, and happiness. Here's to building stronger, more meaningful relationships with the people who matter most. Until next time, take care and keep shining.